Boom. Welcome, everyone, once again. Excuse me. Ooh, man. It is yet another Monday. It's episode 5 of our Lead Poison live stream. Get myself together here. Got a couple things I need to set up here in order to jump into tonight's piece. So tonight we're doing Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman, but the client specifically asked for the iteration of Invisible Woman from Marvel Rivals. So that's what I have going on here, and as you can see, I've already taken the liberty of laying in my composition via the non-photo blue pencil. This piece is going to be colored, so I got my paints, as you can see here on the screen. I got my paints ready to go. I'm just getting my inks together and my water. Got my brushes already set up so that we can get going. All right. Episode 5 of the Lead Poison live stream. I appreciate everybody tuning in from Facebook, from YouTube, from Twitch. Appreciate you guys popping in. So let's where my tunes at, man? Like my tunes aren't playing. All right. A little different. All right, now let me get my shares going. Yo, what's going on, Rich? Ladies and gentlemen, my boy Rich. Me and Rich go back to like like 198?
Son, where'd you find this?
Exactly. Me and Rich go back to middle school with my dog. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna jump into this Invisible Woman real quick. Really fast though, I wanna make this clear to everybody that's tuning in via Twitch, via YouTube, via Facebook. If you are interested in commissioning me, you can very easily hit me on any one of those platforms. Wild Inks Studios. My Instagram handle is, as you see it on the screen there, wild_inks_Ken. Commissions are always open, right? Now they are limited because I do take on bigger projects behind the scenes. So, if you're interested in having in commissioning me for a piece, give me a direct message. I'll price you out. I'm very, very reasonable. And if you're not opposed, we could do the commission live on the Lead Poison live stream. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So let me get my share going real quick. I gotta share this out to the fan page. Yeah, that I'm gonna be doing a few of these larger commissions. I already have next week's subject already locked in. Next week is gonna be The Witcher. We're gonna be doing that one in black and white, and I might do like an extra stream at some point this weekend in order to knock out another fun piece. I think it's going to be a sketch card, so that one should be relatively short. But we out here right now, right now. Let me put my phone on silent. Everybody likes to hit me up right on as I'm on stream. All right. All right, so let's get it going. So, like I mentioned, I already laid in a lot of my composition here. I like to start with a non-photo blue simply because, I feel like it gives me a cleaner product in the end, right? This is a very, very common uh, practice used by a lot of comic book pencilers, right? It's so that if you're like me, very rough when you lay in your composition, very sketchy, you know, you can get some clean pencils and clean inks right over it, and it doesn't muddy up the image. And because I'm going to be painting this one live. I'm going to be painting this one live. I want to minimize the muddiness, right? So I was able to kind of drop in a lot of the necessary details, right? Marvel Rivals, really fun game. I've been playing a lot of it whenever I have the opportunity. I haven't been playing too much of it lately, but I was able to uh, get some of the skins from the new Battle Pass in Season 1 and bring my rank up just a little bit. So, who do you guys main? Who do you guys main in Marvel Rivals? Let me know. Let me know. Let's see. Let's get some of these smaller details dropped in real fast. Now, a lot of my shadows are going to be done with the color. So I'm not going to be dropping in a lot of heavy blacks the way I typically do with a brush. However, I will be giving Sue Storm like some transparency in the legs, right? So she's like going invisible gradually. I ain't gonna do that, but we want to sort of like map out what we want to do here. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail with the legs because she's gonna be like turning invisible from the legs up. Now, when Rivals first came out, I'll be the first one to admit I wasn't very keen on the art style. Like it felt too blocky for me. Like there were too many angles. You know, but it eventually grew on me. It eventually grew on me. You know, I think that whoever they have doing their character designs is doing a great job, and a lot of the skins that they've been putting out in the battle passes look really good. You know, if only the Crystal Dynamics Avengers game had the same pizzazz. Chris, how's it going, buddy? After the movies, for secret movie night, I'll check you. If you're still streaming after the movie. Oh yeah, most likely, because I'm. This is gonna be a colored piece, so I'm most likely going to hit the at minimum the 3 hour mark. You know, 'cause this piece has a little bit of background to it. as per the client's request. I do like the Sue Storm design and Rivals. I like the OG design more than like that vampire alt, that vampire alternate. I feel like it's too much, you know. But this is a good looking design. All right, one moment here. Perfect. Be able to look at my Twitch chat as well. So the general idea of what I got going on here for Sue Storm is her sort of like projecting her force fields, and she herself is going invisible. Excuse me. And then the background that I have set up. I mean, it's not going to be super detailed, but it will be the that subway section of the Avengers map in New York from Rivals. There's that part where you're like you have to go into the subway, and there's a lot of like rubble in the train station. Let's sharpen this pencil a little bit. I tend to get a little quiet around these more delicate parts when it comes to eyes. Really easy to mess up eyes. So tonight for color, I'm going to be painting her in watercolor. I feel like that'll be the best medium to work with getting a lot of that, sort of like stained glass transparency with her force fields. There we go. The bangs in there. That should be fun. She's got. She doesn't have like defined abs in the design. This is like a blue panel that goes into her armpit. This is another blue panel. She's got the big four on her chest. All right. Get some wrinkles in there. It's got the little shoulder piece. A little bit of a collar there. She's got like some ribbing right here. It splits in two. All right. In good shape so far. But this part usually doesn't take very long, because I already worked out my composition. So down a little bit. You guys can see the whole thing there. Once again, thanks for everybody tuning in. My YouTube audience, my Twitch audience, my Facebook audience. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me on another Monday. Once again, the Lead Poison live stream goes live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Monday. All right, we got. Let's see here. Let's get this going here, right? Now, the circles, I'm just going to leave them kind of like marked off, right? We have some rubble here, right? Because there's a section when you're guiding Herbie through the streets, right, where you have to like navigate around like a part of the train station that's like rubbled out. So I'm going to do that. Just kind of drop in some loose rock forms here, right? It's not going to be too important, but context is important for delivering a message. Because maybe the client comes across somebody that doesn't play Rivals, and they don't get the gist of what's going on in the background. So it's in those cases the context is important. Even if they don't play the game and they don't, get the premise of what's going on in the background, right? It could still look like something. So I'm gonna drop these rocks in here. I'm gonna put some of the lines kind of going through the leg here to hammer home the invisibility aspect. So once I'm done with these clean pencils, I'm gonna give the artwork a little bit of a once over with a kneaded eraser. Zoom out a little bit so you guys can see that. I'm gonna give it a quick once over with a kneaded eraser to pull some of the loose graphite out, and then we're gonna start blocking in our colors. And as I render through this, I'm going to try and keep it as close to the look of the game as possible with a lot of the cell shading. All right, so throw some of the rock formation behind her. Appreciate that. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Shout out to all the new faces popping in on the stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. The Lead Poison live stream. We do this every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard. Most of the time, I will be illustrating from beginning to end something that's already been pre-commissioned. So if you commission some artwork and you'd be interested in having it, done live on the stream, hit me up. All right. So now we got some broken lines in here, right? Implying that we're able to see through her legs. Pause. I'm gonna get my ruler going so I can get the opening or the entrance to the train station right back here from the street. Horizon right here. Right. Now I didn't pre-draw this, but I'm gonna draw it in right now. Right? Because outside of the train station, there's cars. I'm gonna do the car live on the stream right now. That was something that I didn't pre-render uh, in preparation for the stream, so I'll do it live with you guys right now. So we'll put top of the car right about there. All right, and the trunk should drive more or less about here. So right about there would be bottom of the car. We're going to quickly render that in. The bumper to the top of the opening here from the other end, from the street. We get a horizon out here from the street. That'll be the curb. A little bit of an undercarriage of the whip. All right, that should do it. Thanks, Randy. Happy New Year to you, brother. I haven't spoken to you in a bit. Hope all is well with you and the family, sir. Can you slice? Can you slice? How you talking about? Shout out to my cousin Hollywood One, who's in the chat right now. If you guys are on Twitch, make sure that you give his channel a follow. Definitely streams a lot of fighters, streams Marvel Rivals, streams a little Call of Duty, a few solo plays, and chances are, if you're watching him on stream, you'll catch me playing along with him, running a little Elden Ring, a little Duty, you know, minimums. Hollywood One Gaming on Twitch. Oh yeah, get that. Yeah, chop him up. All as well. So for conventions this year, so far what I have confirmed are shows here in Florida. I got a big one in Miami. I'm still waiting to hear back from Puerto Rico. Uh, but I'm still sort of like shopping around for what's going to happen in the fall winter, right? But yeah, like you know how I get down. I'll always advertise or promote any shows that I'm a part of, any projects that I'm a part of. Which shout out to DM Ray. I did the official cover to Mad Caps #2. I believe the Kickstarter is going live at some point either this before the end of the month. I think that's going live. So I did the official cover to that. I think Charles Morgan is dropping his Kickstarter soon for the new release of Cold Cutter, and in his catch up tier, my variant cover for issue 1 is the official cover. So shout out to Charles Morgan. A lot of good stuff, a lot of good stuff on the horizon. Oh no? Oh well, we're gonna have to change that, big dog. You know how I get down, sir. I'm gonna get to do something up north here. Need to get another piece from you. Oh, dude, you don't have to ever wait to see me at a con. You can just immediately hit me up for guys like you. I'll make the time. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a question. One second, guys. I'm looking at something right now, right now, right now. So, what is this? This is also a commission. Yes, this is a commission piece that I just got like late last week. The client was on the fence about getting like a group shot with Scarlet Witch, Magic, and Sue Storm, which would have been epic, right? But he decided on just doing Invisible Woman, which is fine by me, right? Because it makes things a bit easier for me, with regards to the production. Yeah, absolutely. Just you could hit me up directly, dude. Like you don't have to wait. You know what I mean? Like I tend to juggle a lot of different projects at once, but I tend to keep my commissions relatively limited, you know, for my regulars, and like a lot of the people that have like supported me heavily. Yes, they do play rivals actually, because he was very very specific. He was very very specific at it being the Marvel Rivals Sue Storm like skin, right? Because I was gonna go with like some OG stuff, but he was like, "Nah, I want the Marvel Rivals joint." So I was like, "I bet, no problem, we'll make it happen." Right? That's good. Very good. Want to just throw a couple bubbles here. One off here to the side. Maybe one right here. Bam. Yes. Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Phil Russert has entered the chat. Yeah, I got. You know what? You know how many people hit me with that joke as soon as I announced that I was going to be doing an Invisible Woman tonight. You know, it would have saved me a lot of time. They just throw backgrounds in there. You know what I mean? It would have saved me a lot of time. But I think I got to give him some eye candy, right? I got to give him something. Let's pull up a quick little reference image, right? Because the Sue Storm skin from Marvel Rivals has like a lot of paneling. Sue Storm, Marvel Rivals. I want to make sure I get all of the panels in her outfit correct before I start laying in my color blocks. Okay, so that we get a little bit of a chevron right in here, and that chevron is in blue. Go like that. I think I think that should do it. Then we get a little bit of texture in here where it's ribbed. Excuse me. And that goes blue and then into white. All right. So I think we are ready to start blocking in some color. Now, because I want a lot of the focus to jump on Sue, I'm going to be using a lot of muted colors into the background. And try to focus a lot of the more vibrant tones on Sue Storm. Don't start, Phil. Don't start. Don't start. I had a feeling that was kind of coming down the pipeline. We don't want to go off the rails just yet. You know, it's barely 8 o'clock. You know, I wanna keep it relatively, PG 13. You know, I got my audience out in the YouTube space, the Twitch space. Although Twitch is kind of like the Wild West, um, and Facebook. Yeah, we're just getting started, so like save some. Great minds, great dirty minds. Hey, 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 hey! You can't take my lines. You can't take my lines. Now, this right here is just to pull out some of the excess graphite from the piece, so that once the paint starts to drop in, it doesn't sort of muddy up the paint. You know what I mean? This is a very very common practice. Is I use a very very soft lead when I'm doing final pencils, but it doesn't pull everything out. So I'm still able to sort of distinguish where my deeper shadows are going to drop. Oh yeah, same dude, same. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, Phil, while you're on, plug what you got going on, right? Because I did talk about uh Mad Cats #2, which is also coming out of your publishing house, right? You got the omnibus dropping soon as well. So drop your links in the chat. Everyone, for those of you that aren't aware, Phil Russell, proprietor of Philbo Publishing, right? So if you are an indie creator and you're looking to get your stuff published, he's the man. He is the man. He's a good guy. I've known him for years. He repped me, once upon a time. You know, he's a good guy to know. Let me get my sponge ready here. Let's see. No, 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 no OnlyFans links. None of that. Right? I'm trying to gain followers, not scare them away. Oh no. Y'all starting too early already. Too early. You know what? Any specific hidden Easter eggs related to Marvel Rivals we may find within this piece? Kirby here. You know what? I think the only real Easter egg that I would have like implemented into the piece outside from it being the obvious like Marvel Rivals Sue Storm, right? Is the stage, right? So like if you play Rivals, you'll immediately identify what stage like is in the background. We don't have enough time to fuck everything he's doing. This is true. This is true. He's out here working like a Mexican. You mean only? Yes, he is wild. You've got no idea. Well, that's actually fire. Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to get it as close to um the actual IP as possible, right? And obviously the client had, his preferences. So, it's all about uh satisfaction, right? That's right. That's right. Phil is also the guy to do the distribution. So like he's the one-stop shop, So even if you need editors, if you need writers, artists, he does the distribution. He's a well plugged in guy. Oh, Mr. Fantastic. First name, last name. Welcome, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for the plug. Thank you for the plug. I try. It's important to love what you do because it reflects in the end product. Let me get my big brush here. Of course you do. Of course you do. High key, this is one of my favorite maps from the new update. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Well, welcome to the Lead Poison live stream. This is episode 5. I figured, episode 5 would be a good opportunity to to showcase this little baddie right here. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the background, right? We're gonna use some blues, a little bit of gray, right? Because I want to make sure that it's muted to the point where it doesn't like compete with Sue in the foreground. Yes, I do the covers, I do the interiors, I do trade dressing, I do colors, I do the whole thing from cover to cover. We should. I'm down. I'm down. Indeed, indeed. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning into the Lead Poison live stream. We do this every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, right? In which case, like in most of my live streams, I will do a full illustration from beginning to end because part of the objective, right? The aim for doing these live streams is to showcase my process, right? I'm not one of these artists that gatekeep. You know, on these live streams, I will answer questions. If you have any regarding like what materials I'm using, you know, just anything art wise, right? And above all, I'm here to kind of shoot the shit with you. You know what I mean? Let's chat it up. Yeah, yeah, you can be the face. That's fine. He's got the odds working for him. But for sure, Phil, you should plug your stuff because I know you got a few things dropping soon. Um, Anyone who's been following, my work as of late knows that I've done tons of indie work. A lot of it has been for Filbo Publishing. You know, quality stories, quality work. You're getting big names, on interiors and on cover art. Um, Not speaking of myself, but you know what I mean, like some big industry names, right? And as if there are any indie creators in the audience right now, Phil is the man to tap into. He is the guy. So with a lot of pieces like this, I like to start with the background first because it kind of sets the tone for what's going to happen in the foreground. Let's get a little more water on this brush. I figured the watercolor would be a really good choice for this piece in particular, you know, just so that it would be relatively easy to hit a lot of those notes in the force field effects pursue. Even out some of these strokes. Yes, sign up for the omnibus, for the Philbo omnibus. He's got a lot of goodies in there from all the Philbo publishing IPs. From the past few years. Phil is pretty much a comic factory at this point. Tragedy manga illustrated by Kenny Count. Kenny, you killed it. Get it. You killed Kenny. Yes, indeed. Kenny will have a cover in local comic shops soon. See, that's always a beautiful thing. Seeing the work I've done out in the wild. It never gets old. By the way, if you guys missed Tragedy the manga, hit me up. I got copies. Any copies that you get from me will immediately go out signed. So, ask me about that. Now, in this phase of the color blocking, I don't need to be super tight, right? Because a lot of it will be covered up. This is just to kind of lay in a base tone. And block in what we're going to do for the walls and the ceiling here, so we don't have to kind of like work around the main aspect of the piece. Hey, everybody, what's up? Looking good. What's up, Charles Morgan? Speaking of the devil, I was just plugging Cold Cutter. Drop your links, guys. You guys got stuff pending coming out in the next few weeks. Drop your stuff. I'm broadcasting this to Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. So all three of my audiences will see that. And for those of you that are supporters, right? I have variant covers on all of the projects that will be advertised in the chat right now. I got relationships with Phil and Charles. I've done variants for them. And I'm also featured in all of Phil's Kickstarter campaigns with original art tiers. So, even if say for example, you had an idea for a commission piece, and you want to support the campaign, it's a great way to do it. So we're gonna drop in a little bit of the softer values where the force bubbles are. All right. I'm gonna hit those again with a bit of more of a like an ice blue. Chimichangas, delicious. And can you even do a remark on the cover for a little extra? Yes, I can actually do remarks on the cover for a little extra. So don't be shy. Closed mouths don't get fed. So I'm pretty easy to work with. If you got questions, don't hesitate. A nice hour at work, so I'm getting a bit punchy. No, no punching it. Freddie Fred, Florida room in the building. What's up, homie? No, anytime, anytime. You guys got things pending. You got things coming up. You guys got campaigns. Drop them in the chat. I don't gatekeep. Yeah, dude. This is easily gonna be a 3 hour piece. Minimum. Right? It's barely hour one. We got the pencils in, and I'm starting to lay in like some of the color blocking. So you got time. I'll be here. Oh man, that's beautiful to hear. I'm glad that it's gotten a really positive reception. You know, I'm looking forward to doing another one. Like I I I I enjoy doing things outside of my comfort zone. I like challenging myself as an artist. So anything that you have in mind later on or in the near future, brother, don't hesitate. We're gonna have Charles W. Morgan live launch party, so come join us and support his book. Yes. So for any of you in the Facebook audience and you're watching this live, follow Phil Russett. We're going to be going to the live launch party for Cold Cutter number 4, the Kickstarter. Right, we do that live on Face, so make sure that you follow Phil Russett. And as soon as one of these fine gentlemen drops the link to the Kickstarter campaign, be sure to sign up to be notified for when it goes live, so that you can show your support. Cold Cutter número 4. Once again, shout out to everyone who's tuning into the Lead Poison live stream. This is episode 5. Right, we do this every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Right, in which case I typically use a commissioned artwork as the subject for the evening. Right? In this case, we have Sue Storm of the first family, Invisible Woman of the Fantastic Four. And all we're doing right now is just kind of color blocking the background. Right? So it sets the tone for what we're going to do in the foreground, right? So that she essentially pops more, right? So let's get a little more of this blue. Let's get some of this purple. A little more water on this brush. Happy Monday. I'm hoping that you guys are having a great start to your work week. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me for the live stream. Just something a little different. Kind of switch it up a little bit, a little positivity. You watch a little art being made. You get some questions answered. There's good people in the chat right now. Let's see. I figure the more I comment, the higher you'll get the algorithm. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. There it is, Charles Morgan with the link for the Kickstarter. I'm going to pin that. So please, please, please support that. Support that. Because Charles does everything for the book. He writes, he illustrates, he does his cover art, he does his own inking, he does his own lettering. You got to support a guy that has that kind of hustle. So make sure that you guys support the campaign for Cold Cutter number 4. Let's get a little more gray into this blue. Now as we move down, I'm going to push some of this gray into Sue Storm's feet here. And this will just serve as like a local color that I can build my shadow layer off of. No, I know, but you know what I mean? Like you guys would do the same for me. You know? You guys would do the same for me. And I'm not one to gatekeep. I'm not one to gatekeep. The rising tide raises all ships. Isn't that right? I greatly appreciate that, Charles. That's hilarious. Oh, okay. Jason does it. Yeah, Jason's awesome. Jason's awesome. Yeah. Let's see if I can pull this back just a little bit so you guys can see more of the piece. So this is just laying down some local color, just so that I have a little bit to kind of build from, right? I'll be pulling out some more values from this. I mean, it's part of my philosophy. I don't gatekeep anything. The rising tide raises all ships. You know what I mean? That if I could help out, you know, in bringing some eyes to a project, I'm not gonna hesitate to do that because I'm sure that you guys will do it for me. You know, I'm a big advocate for that. Let's get some more of this gray going. So a lot of this is gonna feel super random, right? And I promise you, there's a method to this madness right now, right? I'm using watercolor, but I'm using a more of a dry brush technique so that like the paper doesn't cornflake on me. It doesn't like start to tear or buckle, right? That I got the client in the chat, so don't worry, guys. I ship everything. I ship everything in a top loader, so it'll get to you nice and flat. You know what I mean? That I'm very very meticulous with the way I pack the art. Oh no, don't do that. All right, so now we're gonna get this big slab right here, and then we'll start dropping in Sue's colors. So for those of you that are just tuning in, we're doing an Invisible Woman tonight for the Lead Poison live stream. This is a commission piece. It's already spoken for, so nobody DM me trying to bid on it or nothing crazy like that. I've had that. I've had that done. We don't do that. I haven't done that. At some point I might do a unclaimed piece, for you guys to bid on. But we're not doing that tonight. Tonight, Sue Storm is spoken for. So strap in some of these quick shapes. I don't mess around. I don't mess around, sir. I don't mess around. So I'm gonna drop in some loose shapes into the street out there. All right, we're gonna go a little darker. I want to show some of the some depth, right? Because there's There's a section across from the stage, right? That goes into what looks like a plaza. So I'm gonna go a little darker here. Right, go a little darker under the car. And a lot of the rendering that I'm doing in the background is going to remain pretty loose because I don't want it to compete with what I want you to focus on, right? So, Sue Storm is going to be like the main focus of the piece. The background is just to serve as a little bit of filler, right? Like, the fries to your cheeseburger. It's not meant to be the main part of the meal. So very loosely, what I'm doing is just kind of pulling out some of the shape language here by popping in some very light shadows. All right, just some light shadows. Throw some of those little forms, peering through her legs, right? So now I think I can drop a little more black into that background. So for those of you that are popping into the Lead Poison live stream for the first time, what I aim to do on every one of these live streams is complete a full drawing from beginning to end, right? So you'll see the full process. And I'm typically able to do that in an average of about 3 hours, right? So something fully rendered in about 3 hours. Now, to be fair, I do I do a preliminary sketch, right, and blue pencil, right, to just kind of work out my composition because sometimes the idea for how I want to compose the piece may not come to me right away. So that process all in itself could take a little bit. And because I don't want to drag this out into 5 hours or something, just to save time, I'll do that off stream. And then, when we jump into the stream, it's the meat and potatoes, right? I'm giving you the good stuff instead of me sitting here trying to figure out, how I'm gonna pose her and all that. So one thing that I'm not gonna do is add a drop shadow because Sue is, starting to become translucent here. Transparent rather. Or is it translucent? No, translucent is light. So we're just gonna add a little bit of drop shadow to the rubble, right? And just pull out some of the more jagged forms in the rubble. Right, get that in there. Boom. So now I think we can start laying in the colors for Sue. Right, that we've got enough going on. Well, actually, let me get that car in there. I mean, it's not going to be a big deal, but add a little more white into that. So it sort of mutes the car. We'll mute the car out. I'm going to leave a little bit of negative space there for the tail light. You know, we need a tail light, right? How else are we going to know it's a car? Let's switch to a thinner brush. Let's get some of this red orange. That actually came out a little too brown. Let's throw a little more red in there. I'm sure you guys already know, like I'm mixing my colors off camera. My palette's like right next to the drawing board. So yeah, I'm using very, very little water, so that I have a little more control with the paint distribution. It comes out a little more opaque and not so much like like stained glass. But a lot of the stained glass effect will go into how I depict Sue going into her invisible state. Throw that in there. A little bit of shadow for the item in the car. And then we'll just add a little bumper here. And the car's not going to be super important, but it's good that we throw it in there anyway. Let's get a little bit of this white, a little bit of this titanium white to kind of separate the car from the background a little. Let's get a little more of this blue. Close that up. Always love the FF. Yeah, I feel like Fantastic Four has, like, when it comes to a lot of the golden age and silver age, like, time of comics, the FF have had like some pretty epic like stories, right? That like high key a lot of like the major villains really like that we know in the Marvel universe like started, like their run-ins with the Fantastic Four, you know, Kang the Conqueror, Annihilus, you know, Mole Man. I'm just noodling in some shadows here on this pillar. All right, this is all part of that dry brush technique I mentioned. Just using a little bit of blue on the palette here to noodle in a little shadow so it kind of pulls that pillar forward a bit. Soften that value in with a little bit of white. Now I will be inking this, and for those of you that are new to the stream, I always ink with a dip pen. On occasion, if it calls for it, I will use a micron, but dip pen is usually my preferred way to ink. I also use a brush. I feel like I don't know. It gives me a pretty nice line quality. Yeah, the first 100 or so issues were iconic. Oh, absolutely, 100%, 100%. The man, the myth, the legend has entered the chat, ladies and gentlemen. The Slab King. If you guys aren't familiar with who Kingdom of Slabs is, let me put you on a little bit. This guy, this guy is probably the biggest collector I've ever encountered. All right, like he's collected my stuff. He's collected a ton of big name stuff. He's all over the place. It's the reason why they call him Kingdom of Slabs, right? He's got a lot of my stuff slabbed and graded. You know, he's also a good guy to know. You can catch him on Instagram by the same handle, Kingdom of Slabs. Shoot him a follow. You know, he is what we refer to in the hood as the plug. When it comes to all things nerdy, he is the plug. So all I'm doing right now is just kind of taping down the corners. We're starting to get a little bit of buckling, but it's not anything crazy. And I don't want the paper to move while I start rendering in the color blocks on Sue Storm. Nah, man, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Sometimes you come up with ideas that I would have never crossed my mind in a million years. You know what I'm saying? So it's always good to have you know a second brain in the vicinity when it comes to little creative topics like that. Just gonna remove some of that blue pencil in there. All right. So now we're gonna block in Sue Storm. Let me get my reference up. All right. Let's see if I gotta mix any colors. All right. Looks like she's pretty straightforward. Looks like I won't need to mix too many colors in order to get her stuff. All right. So let's start with her skin tone. Let's get some of this umber. That might be too pink. Actually, no, that's good. That's good. We could add a little white to it to cool it. Got that numbers in there. Some cards to take it to see. Oh, nice. Very nice. Yeah, because that's artist direct. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interested to see what they come back as. Yeah, that's artist direct. There's no licensing issues there. It's coming straight from me. Now I have the blue set here, but before we do that, let's get her blonde hair in first. Let's get some of this yellow, a bit of this white. That's good. Let's get a little more going in here. Now, as you guys may already know, this is just a base tone, right? I can move the temperature up or down after this color sets, and we can determine if we can like move some more shapes from like the hair strands, the chunks of hair kind of flared outward. I think we're okay. Okay. Oh, dope. Yeah, man. Like that would be, if I'm not mistaken, that would be you'd be like among the first. Because if someone else has done it through my private stock of sketch card, they haven't told me about it yet. So I think it's pretty safe to say that you would be like the first. And every so often I like to peek on the eBays and the other sites to see if like some of my stuff is out there floating around. And yeah, man, I'm seeing some movement. I'm seeing a bit of movement when I punch my name into the search fields. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I actually have to look for the regs on that and get back to you. I gotta look at the contract regulations on that. It shouldn't be an issue, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. You know what I mean? Rather be safe than sorry. I don't want to fumble the bag. Let's switch brushes here so we can get some of these finer details in here. So once again, I want to thank everybody for popping into the Lead Poison live stream. We do this every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In which case, I will showcase an illustration in its entirety from beginning to end. Right? It is my way of, demonstrating my process, to those that have been curious. Right? I'm not one of those artists that gatekeep. If you guys got questions, if you have questions regarding technique, regarding materials, what have you, feel free to ask. And if you're just pulling up to just kind of hang out and chill, that's also welcome too. We got some good people in the chat, and it's all positive vibes here. So tonight's subject is the Invisible Woman, aka Sue Storm. And I am in the process of laying in my color blocks, right? So that we have a little bit of local color to build our shapes and our values from. Now she's going to start to go invisible from the waist down. Oh, she's got a blue panel right here. A blue panel right here that we're going to fade out. What size is this when you're working? This is an 11 by 17. 11 by 17 on like Bristol board. Laura. Watercolor lesson with you. I'm easy. I'm easy, Lau. I miss you, young lady. I'm hoping that all is well with you over there in North Carolina. We have to have a phone call to catch up very, very soon. How come? How come? This has never been out of your reach, brother. It's never been out of your reach. Because I don't want to start like bidding wars in my DMs. Is the only reason why I've been showcasing artwork that's I figured it's good content to do on the stream. Absolutely. Absolutely. So with a little bit of local color, right, we have a little more option here to start building on top of that. I don't use watercolor like most artists traditionally do. I like to layer my color the same way I would acrylic or gouache, right? In some cases, I will like mix my media and use a little gouache over my watercolor. But tonight, I want to keep it kind of simple and just go straight in with watercolor. My ratios for paint to water is very little water, just enough to wake up the paint, and a lot of paint, right? So we get a pretty decent opacity in how we layer that in. I'm just so used to sketch cards and comics. Having one of these sizes in my collection is a new must. Listen, I'm with it. And high key, man, I just sold a Deadpool piece that was 11 by 17. It was unfinished. It was like half inked, and it was a shot of Deadpool like battling a bunch of like ninjas from the hand, right? And I was at a where was I? I was at a pop up. I was at a pop up in downtown Miami in the art district, and I didn't think it was gonna sell. I mean, because it's an unfinished piece, right? But there was a lady that walked up to the table, saw it. She was like, "How much for this one?" And I'm like, "Really? It's not even finished." She's like, "That's kind of what I like about it, that it was an unfinished Deadpool piece." And she gave me a pretty penny for it. And I even offered to finish it. I was like, "Look, if you want, I can finish it for you. You know, I can finish it for you and then mail it out to you." She was like, "Nah, I'll take it right now, as is." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Don't threaten me with a good time." So I'm gonna push a little bit of the blue gray into the little ring around her waist. Yeah, man. So for those of you just tuning in, right? As you know, or may not know, or well, you'll know now, right? I do commissioned artworks on these streams, right? So next week, the subject will be the Witcher, Geralt of Rivia, battling a Lesher. All right, so that's gonna be a fun piece. I don't think I've done like a action piece live on stream yet, so that's what's gonna be next week's subject on episode 6. Shall be the Witcher, Geralt of Rivia. It's a terrible English accent. Let's get let's put some shadows down here, a little bit in here. Right, a little bit in there. Now, what I'm doing here, aside from just laying down some local color, is dropping in a lot of these values now because I'm gonna tighten up the artwork with a dip pen, right? So I got my ink ready to go. Just want to make sure that all of my shadows are in. I don't want to do any hard blacks because I'm doing my best to sort of emulate the art style from the game, which is primarily cell shading. So that is going to be the focus today. I'm going to do a little bit of cell shading with my paint here. There we go. Soften that edge there. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. We do this every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. The Lead Poison live stream. You know, on episode 1, I had somebody from Twitch ask me to explain the title to the live stream. And, lead poison, I don't know. It just sounded catchy. You know, it was something that I thought of to grab your attention, something grabby in a very non-offensive way. Let's get a little purple in here. Mix that into the blue so we get a little violet going. So that we could push that into these blues. So we're pulling out a little bit of shape language. Now, like I mentioned, a lot of these finer details are going to be drawn in with a dip pen. It is my preferred way to ink. She's got like that light blue sort of like light on her shoulder. I'm gonna drop that in there now. Yes, very good, very good, very good, very good. So now that I have most of her colors sort of like blocked in, I'm going to use the same cloud blue for her force fields. All right. Now it's going to come in a little dark in the very beginning, which is fine. I have a method for lightening those values up. Let's get a little more water on the brush. There we go. It's coming together. Coming together. All Keep up the amazing work. I'll check you on the next one. The piece is looking amazing. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. As always, ladies and gentlemen, that is Kingdom of Slabs. Make sure you give him a follow on Instagram. He is, as I mentioned, the plug for all things nerdy and collectible. Give him a follow. I'm just going to soften the edges here, add a little white. Add a little white to the bubbles here just so that we get a softer sort of transition here. Boom. That's what we want. Now, what I may end up doing is mixing a little media and dropping in maybe some colored pencil, maybe even a little gouache, to be honest. A little bit of gouache so we can brighten up those blues a little bit. We'll see. We'll see. You want to keep those blues kind of muted, but we do want to make them feel like it's light that's being emanated from our force fields. So, like anything, we want to build up layers, right? Which is one of the reasons why um, I like to do like a local color first, and at the very beginning, the local color will look incomplete or flat. That's it's only because we're going to build on top of that. All right. Now it's not going to end there because for some hard white values, I'm going to use a bit of white ink. Right. I like to mix it up, as it were, and get a nice range of textures and values in the art. So here we can see the top half of Sue. Right, I'm gonna drop some shadow values in her face, and then some softer white tones in her outfit, and then we're gonna move down to the legs and sort of like get some harder details into the rocks so that we can see a difference in the rocks on the outside of the legs versus the rocks that we can see through her legs. Let's get some of this burnt umber in. There we go. I'm gonna feather a lot of this brown into her hair, sort of like in the pattern of how her hair is layered. There we go. And a little bit of the brush stroke left in there, like, just adds to the hair texture and its feathering. Right. So now we have, I'm seeing in my reference that she's got like some darker roots. So I'm going to push a little bit of this burnt sienna into her roots. I don't want to go too dark. Wow, this track is very GTA. Get it in there. All right, so far so good. I'll push some of this burnt sienna into the deeper parts of her haircut. Get some of these edges in there. Bam. Pick up a little more of the skin tone so I can get the edge of the face here a little more rounded out. There we go. Little patience and a little understanding of how you want to communicate your shapes, particularly in faces. It makes all the difference. There we go. Now I'm going to come back through here, um, through her hands with a little bit of blue, washed out with a little bit of white, so that we can get some soft shaded values in the white paneling of her outfit. Let's do it here. A little bit in there. A little bit in there. A little bit in there. And a little in the top. Down here, we'll fade it out. Right? I'll actually take a little bit more of this white. Right? And push some of the white into some of the rock formation that we have coming through our legs. Now, when it comes to using white with watercolor, it's not like using white with acrylic, right? It's not going to be opaque. In fact, to use it effectively, right? What it does is it comes in very soft. So it like softens whatever the local color is. It's never going to be like really, really opaque. So I'm using white to blend in a transition, right, with what we're going to do with the storm. And I'm going to grab a little more of this cloud blue. Mix a little white into it. And then get the edges. See? All we want to do is just do enough to where we can see where that leg is going to drop in, where she's starting to go invisible. Let's get a little more water on the brush. Grab a little more of this cloud blue. There we go. And all we'll do is, insinuate her silhouette as she's becoming invisible. Now, once I get, the invisible aspect down, I'm going to go back through here and start pulling out some more shadows for the rocks. A little more of this cloud blue, a little more white. A little more blue. There we go. Some muscle tone in there. There we go. So we'll take that same cloud blue, kind of hit the edges of the bubbles. All right, so we get a nice pop color against the background. It's going to be muted anyway. Like I mentioned, that initial wash of color in the background is just to kind of set the tone, right? We're going to get some brighter tones around Sue Storm herself. First time viewer here. This is looking rad. I appreciate that, Anthony, and welcome. This is episode 5 of the Lead Poison live stream, right? All this is art streams where I basically illustrate a full piece to completion from beginning to end. So we're entering hour number 3, and I'm rendering in the colors on this Marvel Rivals commission on Sue Storm. So we are nearly done with the colors, the color portion of this piece. We do this every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern. The Lead Poison live stream. So usually the day after I do a live, I post the finished piece on my Instagram. The Instagram handle is, as you see it on the screen, Wild Inks Ken. You can simply give me a follow there and you'll see it tomorrow morning, the finished piece. But I'm going to knock this out on stream for everyone to see tonight. All right, then all we're doing here is just laying in some values to move on into inks. Grab a little bit of this white. A little bit of this white here. We're going to start to turn invisible here. I could push a little more shadow into her hand, into either one of her hands, actually. All right, so we can do that here. Let's get a little darker. Forearm. A little bit of the shadows here in her palms. All right. Now, the good thing is that the majority of her outfit is all white, so it doesn't require a whole lot of color blocking in that regard. But she should have some shadows pushed into her hand, right? So that we get the effect of the light from her force field bubble. All right. Now let's get a little bit of this blue, a little bit of this navy blue, and a little bit of this gray, so we can detail the base of this ring on her belt. It's just so that when I drop in my inks, we'll get the hint that you know, from the waist down, she's beginning to turn invisible. As like I'm gonna do a hard black line at the very top, so everything will be nice and defined, and then it's gonna start to go transparent. Gonna rinse off the brush real quick. Get a little more of this white. Just to soften some of these edges here. Use a really wet brush, a little bit of white, just to soften these edges, right? Once again, I want to thank everybody for popping in to tonight's episode, the Lead Poison live stream. We do this every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Shout out to you guys for hanging out with me. Shout out to my regulars for, hanging out with me every Monday. And everybody that popped in to say what's up. We are nearing the tail end of this piece. So once I'm done rendering some of these bubbles here, we're going to jump into some ink work. And that's where a lot of this is going to shine. All right. Get a little brief shadow under that car. It looks a little flat. So now it looks less flat. All right, so now I'm going to switch out, get my dip pen going. And as always, you guys know me. I love using Sumi. Japanese ink is the way to go. I'll squirt that into the cup here. Grab my nib. So let's make sure this is awake. Cool. So now, let's get this shoulder. This is where life starts to breathe into the artwork, right? We can see a lot of those more defined lines coming in. Now, my inking style usually calls for, some hard blacks in some cases. I'm not going to do that this time around. I'm just going to keep it straight up, some line art, maybe some self shading, right? But I will go in on the line art because, the character has some very, very sharp line styles. A little more ink on the nib. Just bear with me. I know it's like, we get the pregnant pause, but when it's these small, small details that could easily be screwed up, calls for a little bit of focus. I gotta be really precise with this nib. that. If not for these really tight little areas, I'd be chatting it up right now, but I want to make sure that this turns out as crisp as it needs to be. Faces are always really, really delicate when you're working with dipped ink. There we go. Earrings in. Hey, Nate, how's it going? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Chris Borman's back. See, I told you. I told you. We're in the home stretch. I'm just laying in some of the inks, and some of this line work in. Let me actually pull this off. I can test, make sure the quill is behaving. What movie did you go see, Chris? All right, coming together, coming together. So this isn't the normal nib that I use in my quill. This is a different nib. It's actually one that's a little thinner, right? And actually, I kind of like it more than the original nib I would use, which is a G nib, because it's giving me nice clean line. Didn't realize I was that late to this. Oh, it's a two-part piece tonight. No. You came late. You came late because this piece was in blue pencil. when I started. So I did the clean pencils on the stream. Then I started my color blocks. So right here we're in the last phase right now with inks. But you came at a good time. Came at a good time. Because this is the fun part. This is like the polish. This is where everything starts to come together. And this is where everything starts to come together, my friend. So for those of you like my boy Nate in the chat who are just joining us for episode 5 of the Lead Poison live stream, tonight's subject is Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman of the Fantastic Four. So this iteration of Sue Storm, as per the request of the client that commissioned it, is the Marvel Rivals skin of Sue Storm. Thanks, Chris. I went to the secret movie event screen where you don't know what. Oh, okay, nice. Yes, sir. Yes. We're doing the damn thing over here, sir. We are doing the damn thing. So just gonna take a little extra time to drop in some of the panels in her outfit. Right. This is the home stretch for this piece right here. Right. The Marvel Rivals designs for a lot of the characters have have a lot of detail in their overall designs. And because I am using a nib that I don't normally use, so I'm not super familiar with how this nib is going to react. Right, I do like it so far because it's pretty sharp. It's giving me a pretty good line weight. Trying to be pretty careful. Right, but so far so good. She's looking clean. She's looking beautiful. All right. I might do a little hatching here. Right, to get that comic book quality. Bam, I like that. Let's get a little collar trim right here. Bam. There we go. Coming together. So now we're not going to go all the way down because she's starting to fade out as we move downward. All right, so about here is where I'm gonna stop the black line. So we get that nice sort of like fade out effect that I did with the cloud blue. All right. It's one of the reasons why I love Sumi, the Sumi ink that I use to do all of my ink work with. Uh, Man, it's just such a true. It's such a great shade of black, and the consistency is is perfect for like my inking style because it doesn't dry super fast, right? And because it doesn't dry super fast, it won't clog the nib while you're working. So semi ink is always going to be my go-to. Add some of the panels in her sleeve and kind of break up the uh, the line as we get to the edge of the force field bubble. Bam. There we go. Let's get form in. We're not going to drop any shadows in that because that's where the bubble is, and we want to keep that illusion of the light, right, in that spot. Let's get this hand in. Fold in our hand here. Bring the pinky down. Get that stretch in our glove. There we go. Let's get the edge of the shoulder here. Break up the line a little bit. thank you. So that's only the beginning, right? That once a lot of the fine detail line work is in, I'm gonna come in with a brush with like ink with a brush to fill in some deeper, darker shadows, right? So that she like stands out a bit more. So we're in the home stretch. Let's see. So now the rest of that is her turning invisible. I finally watched the FF trailer. It was good, but too vague to read anything into the plot. Yeah, yeah, that's to be expected. I think that's intentional so that like, we're kind of enticed into coming out, because they're they've like released a bunch of stuff for the Falcon movie, for the Captain America movie, and like a lot of the, I guess, the criticisms that have come back is that like Red Hulk is actually a very very small part of the film, and it's not the the main fight the way they allude it to be in the trailer. So um, they're expecting that to be a flop. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's I'm gonna pull up anyway just to see Red Hulk. Which is pretty much the rhetoric for most people. They want to pull up and see Red Hulk. So now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna push some hard blacks in here, applied by brush, right? So that we get a nice focus in on Sue. But I want to. Where the hell is my ruler? There it is. I want to get some sharp lines in here for that opening in the wall. That's good. So we'll see. You know, we'll see. I did enjoy the trailer for FF. So I have high expectations for it. You know, it's a period piece. Those are always fun, but they're gonna need to pull out all the stops because they've been falling off. Now let's get this edge right here. Edge right here. Dude, having Harrison Ford as Red Hulk is not my first choice. No, I agree. I agree. Harrison Ford as Red Hulk. I look. High key, I look at it this way. I think Harrison Ford was, just trying to get in on some of the Marvel money. You know what I'm saying? That he's nearing, if not at retirement age. So why not go out big, right? I mean, the CGI renders look good of him as Red Hulk. I think he's really passable. It's like all Marvel Disney is doing these days is just throwing any named actor into their movies for that BS. For the BS, it's definitely only about the money. 100%, 100%, 100%. Anybody who's anybody who can help sort of like salvage, or help right the ship from how they've been like falling off, in recent years. Why not cut them a check to see if they can bring it back to what it once was. Mr. Jordan Shu, what do you think about the upcoming FF movie? I have, like I mentioned, I have high expectations. I think that it's an opportunity to do something fun with FF because the last movie was, I think, like attempting to be too serious, and it failed at that. Um, I also didn't like the the casting for the characters in the last film. Now, the the original FF films, were fun, in my opinion. I didn't like the casting for Doctor Doom. I felt like he was too pretty, and it's like that particular actor. I only see him as the surgeon, that the womanizing surgeon from Nip Tuck. So it's like it's hard for me to like. It's hard for him to convince me that he is like one of Marvel's like top tier villains. You know what I mean? Like, can that give me somebody convincing? I don't have time believing Harrison Ford needs the money. No, no, you're right. You're right. I don't think he needs the money, but if you're gonna go out big. No, I wouldn't have been disappointed if they brought back Sam Elliott as General Ross. Ooh, yes, Sam Elliott. He did kill that when he was General Ross. He's got that. First of all, he's got the epic stash. That like he's like one of those guys in the long line of like epic mustaches. Like for anyone to try and grow a mustache, like that's what you strive to do with your mustache. Like get a Sam Elliott. Like he should have his own style of mustache, the Sam Elliott. They should have done Red Hulk as a feature in a new Hulk movie to introduce the Thunderbolts, not this crappy matchup with Last Man Standing Captain America. Yeah, I agree. I agree. They who would you put in that was good back then for Von Doom. So I would have cast I would have cast somebody that even now, even now that they brought back, JDF, not JDF. Um, Dude, I'm spacing out right now. That they brought back RDJ, and I would have cast somebody that is Mediterranean. You know, I would have brought in somebody that is Mediterranean, that is convincing as someone of that like ethnicity that Victor Von Doom is, just so that one, it gives a new face, a little bit of burn in the MCU, and we're not trying to rehash or recycle someone that made the MCU popular, because it feels like a Hail Mary, to bring RDJ back. It feels like a desperation move to bring him back as Doom. But we'll see. I mean, they've been steady stuck on this whole like multiverse, angle for I think close to a decade now. So we'll see. They're probably gonna play that angle. Uh, so what about the Middle Eastern guy from the first Mummy? I can't remember his name. Yes, 100%. He could have totally done it. Yeah, from the first Mummy, that you talking about the guy that was like, I forgot what was the name of the faction. Not the actual mummy, but like the guardian guy, the good guy with the hair. He was real pretty. Those for yes, yes. I would have cast him. You know, uh, he would have done a good job. Shoot, he's not Mediterranean, but he's actually Brazilian. The guy that played Xerxes from 300 would have made an amazing Doctor Doom. Because I think he was also in. Shoot, what was the other thing that he was in? He was in. I think he was in the other Charlie's Angels movie, the sequel, right? And there was something else I've seen him in recently, but he would have made a really good Doctor Doom. Oh yeah, Ten Rings, Lucifer, nice choice. Yeah, 100%. He would have made a dope Doctor Doom. I feel like they kind of dropped the ball on that, because it's not like they didn't have options, but they went with like something that was safe. You know, I mean, I'm still gonna go check it out. Cause I've also been seeing that there's a lot of like criticisms on you know having the mantle being passed over to Sam Wilson. When obviously it is canon in the comics, but I think one of the better runs of Captain America that didn't involve Steve Rogers was when Bucky took over the mantle. and he took over the mantle of Captain America. He that was, I think that was Hickman. That was Jonathan Hickman on that run of Cap. Let's get some nice blacks in here. Let's bring you guys back up so we can enjoy that goodness. Now I'm just gonna lay in some ink and kind of Jim Lee it up a little bit. Get some drama. I'm gonna be real careful not to get ink in Sue's hair. Right? We just want to give her a little bit of a backdrop so she actually pops out a little more. So once again, if you're just joining us, this is the Lead Poison live stream. I do this every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, in which case I will showcase an illustration in all of its phases from beginning to end. Tonight's subject is the Invisible Woman, aka Sue Storm of the Fantastic Four. So if you guys happen to catch this on the YouTube channel, please make sure that you like and sub and drop a little comment. Right, it helps does wonders, for the algorithms and such. My Twitch audience, I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you give me a follow so that you're notified the next time I go live. Because I am planning other streams outside of Lead Poison, right? Stuff that's a little more instructional, for those of you that are interested in that. Do some light studio sessions, right? Where we go over some anatomy, or you just want to pull up and draw. We could do that together. Marvel needs to get out of their own ass and go back to the Kang storyline they were starting. Be damned with what the guy did. I mean, for goodness sakes, they have RDJ as Iron Man, and he's done so much questionable illiteracy. No, I agree. 100%. Not to mention he's been cleared. Okay, like the actor that was playing Kang has been cleared. They found him. They found him like not guilty. So like, they could bring Kang back, but at this point, after the RDJ announcement, like It's RDJ. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, yeah, bring Kang back. At least close that loop. You know, they were gonna do they were gonna do their thing with what is it, with Secret Wars anyway. They could still continue Kang and then, loop it into Secret Wars. But at the very least, close the Kang loop. You know, totally agree with you on that one, buddy. I think Kang is so tainted with bad press that they won't go back. Yeah, I think so too. They're not going to. They're not gonna go back to Kang because of the bad press. It's still kind of like fresh in everyone's mind. So they're not gonna go back to that. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Because he is a good actor. You know, he is a good actor, and I feel like kind of spoiled his momentum. Not kind of, it totally did. It spoiled the momentum he was building, and they had to, like I mentioned before, pull a Hail Mary out and bring back RDJ as the saving grace. I love to see the Guardians area of the universe start up, the Annihilation storyline. I mean, the whole war sequence will be just as epic as Endgame concludes. I agree. I agree. I agree. I think like, to see who would direct it. Like James Gunn, like really made like Guardians of the Galaxy what we know it today. That, like, even before the movies, right? Just speaking in terms of like comic sales, the Guardians weren't like super well known. Like, you had to have been like someone reading comics, you know what I'm saying, for like a long time to be up on the Guardians. You know, I'm one of those people. I got excited when I saw that they were going to do a Guardians of the Galaxy, but at the same time, I was also worried, at how they would depict, the characters, because like all of those alien characters, they're very unique looking, and it's like it's really easy to screw that up, especially with the way like Marvel had been handling a lot of their IP, in the cinematic realm. You know what I mean? But I totally agree. I think if they do something with that, they'd have to bring back Gunn, because like, who else would they entrust that with? Gunn being Gunn, get the brothers back into. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, the Russos. The Russos, they haven't missed. The Russos haven't missed. I think uh like since they took over Captain America, right? Like Winter Soldier, Civil War, those films, like in my opinion, are far superior than the first Captain America movie. You know, and I know that that's attributed to like the way their directing style. That like by comparison, the first Captain America film like felt more Disney than anything else. Like, and it could be because of the time period, but I think the imagery and the cinematic style also reminded me of like the Rocketeer. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I like the Rocketeer, but I don't want to see Rocketeer in my Captain America movie. You know what I mean? I think they did a good job with the way they set it up, but like the follow up movies, far superior. So we got some nice contrasting like values up here. I'm gonna push a little more ink in here. Um so that she pops out a little more. I'm gonna push some grays in here. I'm basically using the ink water and adding a bit of an ink wash to to uh, to the rocks here, just so that we get a nice communication in our shape language with the rocks here. And I'm gonna come behind this with a little bit of just regular ink that's not watered down, so we get some nice details in the rocks. Captain America's a period piece. Period piece movies haven't gone over too well at the box office. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, it would have to be like a epic, like one of those like period pieces that were like epics, to do pretty decent, like Gladiator, right? But to do something that's like from the First World War, and all the espionage and you know old school tech and values and such, like don't get me wrong, it was good. It was good. I liked it better than the poor attempt at Captain America, like that old movie that came out around the time that the first Ninja Turtles movie came out. I thought it was definitely a better attempt. There we go. Gives Sue a little bit of a halo. Push that into a little bit more shadow. Boom. So now push a little shadow behind her here. A little bit of black around this orb. And we'll hit up these rocks. And that should finish us off tonight. Let's grab that brush. I think it's interesting that a lot of people don't like a lot of brushes people make it because of more of the body. I agree. Oh, 100% they sucked. Now, to your point, uh, Nate, it's not all of them, right? I think it comes down to a question of sure, right? Now, um, a lot of people, you know, don't want to see an origin story. They want to kind of, get into like the mix up of like, the good versus the bad, and I can totally understand that. But, I feel as though that is that is the opinion of someone who is familiar with the IP, right? Like guys like you and I who have been reading the comics, who are familiar with, the origin stories and such. Cool. Yeah, we don't want to see that. We know that, you know. We want to see Captain America fight Red Skull. We want to see them. We want to see him like beat up some Hydra agents. Kick some Nazis in the face. Right. And that's not always what we're gonna get. But you know, it is a question of like first impressions, right? That like Black Panther was good, you know, and I'll admit I didn't know a whole lot of the origin story behind Black Panther. So like I think because I didn't know a lot of the origin story behind Black Panther is why I think I wasn't put off by the origin story. You know what I mean? Like in the first film. That like I think it comes down to a question of perspective, right? Like, a lot of comic fans are going to the films now because, we've been this is it was a topic of conversation that we would have, just kind of sitting around at the lunch table, like wouldn't it be cool if they made a movie of XYZ, right? But then, when we have these poor, not I won't say poor adaptations, but when we have these filmmakers trying to cater to a newer audience or a broader audience, right, that isn't familiar with the books, you know, they feel like it's necessary to do the origin story, right? So that like it's more enjoyable. And you know, I feel like in that regard, it really depends on who's writing, right? Because look at the Batman. The Batman didn't have an origin story in it. You know, they alluded to what happened to his parents, and that movie came out fantastic. You know what I mean? Um, that movie came out fantastic. They didn't do too much of an origin story in that, and I think so. It comes down to like it being a question of perspective, right? That I wasn't aware of a lot of the the origins of Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Because when I started reading Guardians, it was already like pretty established. So I was coming in like in the middle of the introductions of Adam Warlock and a lot of the later roster additions, right? Like Charlie 27, um, Vance Astro, right? Those deep cuts, Union Jack. You know what I mean? That's when I came in, and I started reading it. So I found it really enjoyable, and it was because like I guess the way they told that origin story, gave me a lot of insight. So now I'm able to kind of connect with the core group. Speaking of '90s, how about the Asian City version of Nick Fury by the man so Hassel? So yeah, so that version of Nick Fury by the Hoff was, man, that was terrible. I think didn't he write or direct that? He wrote and directed that, didn't he? Because it felt like more of a vanity piece, than certain to service the comic fans. I think that was more so for like for the Hoff himself as Nick Fury. He had the look. You got to give him that. He had the look to pull off being Nick Fury. Black Panther's origin is not the original story anyway, but they did do a good job inserting newer tones to create a modern story for the story. I still want to see more. I still want to see more. But in the same regard, I am tired of retells of. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I figured he probably he was probably drinking. He probably was. I wouldn't put it past him. Um, no, for sure, for sure. I feel like if it's like the third reboot or the second reboot of a franchise, let's skip the origin. You know, let's skip the origin story and get straight to the meat and potatoes of it. You know what I mean? Like we've seen it all before. Let's get right down to it. We want to see the slugfest. You know that I'm glad that James Gunn isn't doing another like depiction of Krypton blowing up, for this next Superman film. We've seen it done a bunch of times. I think even Brian Singer like skipped it in his version of Superman. So just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, all I'm doing right now is just kind of dropping in some some rough lines with a brush here for my rocky textures. I'm gonna come behind it with my quill one more time, just for the fine details and some hatched areas. Right, but some bold lines so that we get a nice separation from the rock, the rubble here, and Sue Storm. We're gonna get some broken lines in there so that we can see, the rocks kind of, appearing through her legs. I'm just kind of pulling out some of the flat and chiseled areas of the rock here. While I'm at it, dropping in some shadows so we get a nice sort of separation here. His big music special was the night Ocho took his ride. Was it? I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't deny it. I don't, what I mean? I believe it. That music special, boy. Wait, was that the one where he was wearing the jacket with the tassels coming off the sleeves? Man, that's like hella 80s. Like David Hasselhoff was already like looking like a relic, and he didn't know it. Not sure Hoff did, but it does feel like a personal piece that I can select to do. So it wouldn't be that much of a surprise to me. Yeah, it was supposed to be a huge pay-per-view special, and everyone watched. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That's right. That's right. That it wasn't it? It was supposed to be like in his home country or something. That it was a big deal. I remember. I remember that it was kind of a big deal, and yeah, it was making all these headlines for like all these pop records that he had performed, and it was supposed to be uh where like he's originally from. David Hasselhoff, boy, man, he was one of the actors that had the '80s in a chokehold. I honestly loved Gotham and how they created the beginning with Bruce and the events that created the eventual bad guys that had to fight later on. There was also talk of them doing the late teen years and 20s leading up to the Batman Year One stories. Oh, oh, were they? Man, that would have been interesting to see, more of a glimpse of like his fight training, him becoming more of a detective. That would have been interesting to see. Uh, you know, the unfortunate thing is that Batman is just one of those characters that, like, we've seen his parents get shot in the alley so many times, that if they're gonna do an origin story of any kind, it would have to be an origin story of one of the rogues. You know, it would have to be like something like that, like what the Batman did with the Riddler. An origin story of one of the rogues, so that you know you're coming in with something a little different with each outing, and not a lot of same old, same old. Ladies and gentlemen, we are almost done here. Dropping in some gray values here on the slab of concrete next to Sue Storm. And then after that, it's just, some simple line work, some hatching, and then we can put this one in the books. All right, this was a really, really fun piece to work on. Shout out to my client. I don't know if he's still in the chat, if he or his wife is still in the chat. This was a really, really fun piece. And as always, I thank you guys for supporting. Right. I always invite um, subject matter that will challenge me as an artist. Right. I haven't done. I don't think I. No, actually, I have done a Sue Storm one time, but it wasn't anything like this. It wasn't anything like this. I think it was a piece that I did a long, long time ago, and I did it at a convention, and the convention organizer like bought it from me like immediately, like before the show was even done. It was a shot of Sue Storm and Namor, uh, like on this like seashell, and they're like gazing into each other's eyes and stuff. Like he wanted that specifically. So that was the only other time I've ever done a Sue Storm. But this was definitely a fun piece to work on. We absolutely love her. Thank you so much for our fantastic piece. No, it's my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. So again, just to recap, I post all of the finished artwork that I do on Lead Poison on my Instagram. All right. So, go to my Instagram right now. It's the screen name that you see there on the bottom, next to my full name. And I'll be posting it either late tonight. You should see it early tomorrow. And I'll be packing this up. I'll send you a scan of the completed artwork. I'll pack her up tonight and ship her out to you first thing in the morning. You're using your ink water to the level? Yes, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm using the ink water to get like these grayer values um, in the rubble, so that all I'd have to do is just kind of come behind it with my nib one more time, so I can get some finer textures in the line work. And I think I'd give it one more once over with dropping some like some either blue or purple hues, and drop in some whites, and then add some white ink to the bubbles, and we're done. Let's switch over to the nib real quick. Definitely all the training, because you always hear about how he traveled the Met. Yeah, see, because I feel like if they would have done that, right, it could have been like a more modern version of like kung fu. You know what I'm saying? You know how like the old David Carradine show, you know, him traveling around the world and like learning new stuff, and at the same time like battling a villain of the week. And it could be during his travels that he meets like Ra's al Ghul, and you know what I'm saying, the league of shadows or assassins, or I guess depending on who's writing, determines the name. That would have been really, really cool to see. So in retrospect, if that's what they were gonna do, man, that's definitely a missed opportunity. Bear with me, guys, with the pregnant pauses. I get focused when when the line art has to be kind of precise and clean. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think once all the line art is in, I mean we're almost done. Once I add the little effects that I want to add, she's really gonna like read really, really well. I'm gonna get some of the rubble, you know, kind of peeking through here. I want to make sure that my line weight is pretty thin. Do some light hatching in these little cracks here. Boom. So now that gives her a little more of a glassy, transparent feel. What's next week's edition going to be? Oh, so next week I have it already like set up. It's a commissioned Geralt of Rivia, so a Witcher piece, and Geralt is going to be fighting a Lesher. Right, the client commissioned it. I think he commissioned it in color. So that'll be like really interesting, right? Because I haven't done like an action piece like live on stream yet. So I'm looking forward to doing that one. And if you are watching this stream for the very, very first time and you're interested in a commission piece, you can simply reach out to me on any one of my socials. Shoot me a DM. Um, Wildings10 is my Instagram handle. Shoot me a DM through there. The link on my Instagram takes you to all my other socials and my email. Just shoot me a message, and we'll get you hooked up. Commission spots are always available, but they will be limited, right? Because I do a lot of freelancing, so a lot of my exterior projects, will take priority. So, um, but for smaller commissions like this, I can totally knock it out. And if you're cool with it, we can knock it out live on an episode of Lead Poison. We're almost done here because these little hatching marks will give us the chunky gravel effect that I'm looking for here, and it'll help sort of like drive home the the effect that I'm going for with her going invisible. So we're almost done here. Just touching up a couple areas so it's nice and tight. Save for my painted covers. You totally should, dude. And if I may make a recommendation, I highly recommend using a dip pen to ink your work. I cannot sing the praises of using a dip pen enough. That ever since I discovered um, using a dip pen and using like dipped ink for my work, it's like elevated the way my stuff looks. Especially when I do like comic work. It's dude, it's a breath of fresh air, man. That like the last one, two, the last three comics that I've like illustrated and inked for like two of my previous clients, like the line art has been like such a departure from how like my work used to look like when I was using microns to ink. Let's get some small pieces of gravel here. Boom, 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 boom. That's my plan. Scott Hanna gave me some lessons. Yeah, dude. I promise you'll never go back to a micron. Like I even travel with my dip pen and my ink. It's just it's dude, it's next level. Boom. Just little bit of gravel, little bit of gravel. Nice little. And if I may make a recommendation as far as ink, Pelican, the Pelican ink is really, really good. I think I may have used it once, but my go-to is Sumi because the Sumi ink, like after about 30 seconds or so, is totally dry, and you can like go over it with a wet media. So like I'm using Sumi ink tonight, and if I want to, touch up some areas with a little more watercolor, I can, and it won't run. But look, I just did the gravel down here, and it's totally dry already. That like you want, I mean, shop around. Those are my recommendations because like there's an ink brand out there that like is suitable for your inking style, for your art style, right? That because I tend to use a lot of wet media over things that I ink, you know, I found that Sumi ink is that happy medium where like it dries relatively fast, but not so fast that it clogs the nib. All right. Yes, rapido. Oh yeah, Doctor P.H. Martin's. That's another really good one. That the white ink that I'm about to like put on this is the same brand. See? This is also really good ink. So now let's eyeball this a little bit. Let's get some cooler values in her face and put a little dabs of white. I'm going to switch back to my watercolor water. And let's grab a little bit of the purples, right? Because we have a relatively warm skin tone, right? And purple is warmer than blue. We'll push a little bit of purple in there. Bam. Perfect. That might be a little too dark. That's totally fine. We can come back in there and pull it out, lighten it up a bit. Boom. Let's bring this in a little bit so you guys can check that out. Right, that little dash of the purple will give us enough of a cooling pigment. Let's get a little more purple in there. Get in here in the edge. Get underneath her lip. Into the face here. Bam. Oh. All right, yeah, that's good. Give her a little bit of ambient lighting here. To the other side of the face. So now we got a little more dimension kind of popping out of her face here. All right, get underneath the hair. Boom. You know, the radiograph ink, sorry, autocorrect strikes again. That stuff for me always took too long to dry, and I had to use it for drafting floor plans by hand. Wait, radiograph? Which one? Which one is that one? Let's push a darker blue right in here. A little darker in here too. And there we go. That feels real good. Yeah, a little water to kind of drag some of that blue out a little to this into the spot. Bam. There we go. So now the Rapido grab. Gotcha. Indian ink under that brand. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I've used India ink. I feel like India ink like takes like for me, for my liking, like it takes a little too long to dry. It works good. Like I have my students in the studio that I teach at actually using some India ink right now to make comics in the traditional way, and they're using crow quills to do all their ink work. But I'm noticing that it takes a little bit to dry. It flows fantastic. Like the way it flows in a dip pen is like it's great, but it takes a little too long to dry. Now this is a little bit of white watercolor that isn't going to stay that white. It's actually gonna dry in a way where we get a nice soft glare on that local blue. And now we're just gonna pull out some uh, some highlights in her face, and I think we're done. Just rinse off the brush a little bit. And we're gonna put one on the tip of her nose. Let's get a little more white on that. We're gonna put a little bit on the cheek. Right? Now, I usually blend it in a little bit so that the edges come out a little softer. I can't find my little blending brush. This should do it. This should do it because this brush is dry. Around the edges here just to kind of soften it out. Right, it'll blend into the skin tone there. Boom. Just want to soften that value just a little bit. A bit of a rounded brush so that we kind of pull those cheekbones forward. Do you ever use rock salt with your watercolor? It textures the paint. I have. I have. It's actually pretty interesting. Like some of the results that you get, right? Because rock salt is like really absorbent. You get nice white streak there, so we get that pop. All right, I think this bad boy's done. So there it is. The Invisible Woman of the Fantastic Four from start to finish. Right? A little bit of ink, a bit of watercolor. You know, you guys saw the pencils done on 11 by 17 Bristol. The finished artwork is going to be posted to my Instagram. As always, if you're interested in any commission work, shoot me a private message or send me an email. And if you're cool with it, we'll do the artwork live on the Lead Poison live stream. All right, here she is, Sue Storm. Listen, I want to extend a thank you to everybody that popped in on the stream tonight. I really, really appreciate the support. My YouTube audience, my Twitch audience, my Facebook audience. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Everybody that popped in, Phil, Charles. You know, make sure that you guys follow the Kickstarter links. The campaign, I believe, goes live like tomorrow in the evening. So look for that on Facebook. Hollywood One, you know, follow him on Twitch. Fantastic gamer. Um, and yeah, I'll see you guys next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the next Lead Poison live stream. I appreciate you guys. Have a good night.